And we know what the word says. The word says, go and get right with your brother. Go, 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 go. Whether they have something against you or you have something against them, you're to go. And so when we don't do that, we're betraying our identity. Mm-hmm. We know that that's there. And so love always trusts. Can I trust myself? Can I believe in the Jesus in me, that doing the next right thing is going to make a difference in this relationship?
Welcome to What to Say and How to Say It. Today we are talking about love always trust. We are almost done with our love series, and gosh, it's been so great, so fun, so enlightening to see how God instructs us to love one another in our communication. So we're talking about trust today, and that is a subject many of us struggle with. I would say culturally, we struggle because we don't know exactly what it looks like. A lot of people think trust is earned. A lot of people think it's given freely. There's levels to trust. We want to talk about all that, and then also what to do when trust is broken, when sin enters in to the room. And so I have our communication expert with us, as usual, Miss Nina Rosner, who is always awesome in giving tips on how we can, well, you know, it's true. It's true. So I've got to be honest and give her props here, but she's always great about giving this practical advice around communication. So Nina, trust. When God says love always trust, what comes to mind for you?
Well, the first thing that pops into my head is what goes wrong when love does not trust.
Yeah.
Because if we do not walk in trust in the way that the Lord wants us to, we're walking forward in paranoia, in suspicion, and that is stuff that is toxic to relationships. Yeah. It destroys it. So the first thing that comes to my mind is don't do that opposite thing. And I was, as we were praying before the podcast, I was asking the Lord, what's an example of this? And I remember very specifically one of my parents following me when I was going to play tennis with a friend of mine. And my parent, I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but they were not very good at this whole stealth spy thing because I knew they were there the whole time. I was probably 10 years old. And I walked to, half a mile over to the tennis courts, which were attached to a park in our neighborhood. And I went in and I'm playing, and I see the vehicle and I'm like, really? Really? I was a good kid. And I remember talking to my sister after this happened. And I was like, I don't understand why I was followed. I haven't done anything. And my sister says, well, that's probably my fault because I did a lot of stuff. And we had a laugh about that. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But I remember feeling really disappointed and really discouraged because I had the question that I had for myself was, is that who they think you are? Is this person that's not trustworthy? And I never did anything I wasn't supposed to be doing. Like well, that's not fully true. Like there was probably 4 times in high school that I lied. And I was terrible at lying as a younger kid. I would actually go confess because I couldn't handle the guilt and the stress of lying. So, I was a good kid. And so when people would doubt that, and I still have an issue with that to this day, when people think and accuse me of, well, you're just trying to do X, Y, Z, or you're thinking this, or you're going to do blah, blah, blah. And it's terrible stuff. That just really just bothers me. And it's because of the childhood wound, I think, where my credibility, my character was questioned when there was no reason for it. There was no evidence whatsoever for that to be a thing. And we injure the character of other people, because what typically happens when a parent does something like that to a kid or an adult with another adult, even, what happens is, well, they just think I'm going to be that way anyway, so might as well. Oof. Why am I having self-control in this space when they just think this about me anyway? That is a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I've heard that called, what is that? Like a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Prophecy, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
But it's self-fulfilling prophecy is when I think that about me.
Right.
But it's been transferred to me because my parent, my person of value, that their opinion matters to me. They think that I'm this garbage anyway. So why not? Why am I doing my best to show up with integrity? Well, we do our best to show up with integrity because of who we know we are, not because of what that person says or does. So within ourselves, we need to know that, and we need to walk forward in integrity. And then at the same time, realize as a parent, as a significant other, we have that kind of influence as a boss. Oh my word, we can influence people negatively like that. Now, I do have to mention, we got on our website, greaterimpact.org, we have a free resource called 5 Tools to Stop Walking on Eggshells. Because that comes into play with this. We walk on eggshells when we have people in our life whose opinions matter way too much, right? Yeah. But I also want to mention, go over there and get that, please, because it will help you immensely in some of the elements here. And that's greaterimpact.org, and it's called 5 Tools to Stop Walking on Eggshells. But I want to mention, we're making a little bit of a shift in the podcast. We're moving into a space where we're really going to be focusing on married Christian men and women that have been to the workshops, they've read the books, they've paid the therapists, they have done all the things, and they're still stuck in conflict. And they desperately want to change their relationship. So we're zeroing in on those guys. So if that's you, you're going to want to stick around for the rest of this podcast and the ones that we're coming up with in the future, especially because we're going to be helping you get unstuck and save your relationship. So anyway, I just wanted to, I know it's a little bit of a tangent I took, but I thought I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I think about marriage and trust, and childhood woundings, good grief. I mean, all that stuff shows up. If not anywhere, it's there in marriage. Oh yeah, for sure. So when I think about trust, I think about believing the best, right? That's where we usually start. Usually, if there's no evidence, like you said, of offense or sin or anything major, usually it's not hard to give trust, and I want to also qualify that by saying, we are all made in the image of God, and that is something that defines our worth and something that is worthy of trust, so I think when God calls us to that, it's with that in mind, Yeah.
So I'm going to come into conversation with you knowing that I'm looking for the Jesus in you, that I think that I believe in you. And it's kind of like, I know this chair is going to hold me up, man. I believe in you, and I'm going to sit down in it. And if it wobbles, then I'm going to get back up. Right. But maybe there's history, and I know the chair is wobbly, right? Yes. So I'm still I love always. It's an always. What? Yeah, it always trusts. Well, what does that mean? It means I'm always going to think the best of you until you show me that something else needs to be interacted with differently. So
let's talk about that, because we hear it, we see it all over social media. When there's an offense, okay, and then forgiveness has to be implemented, because we have to forgive. God, that's a command.
Yep.
So we know we have to do this, but then there's this piece where we don't know how to do it well, where you forgive, but you don't know how to get back to trust. Can we talk about that, what's required, if that
Yeah.
looks like boundaries, how does the behavior change, how much time? Because I remember in one of the recent podcasts, you and Kyle discuss how relationships get rebuilt. A lot of people think it's time, and it requires a little bit more than that.
Mhm.
Time doesn't, it's not only time that heals wounds.
Right.
There's some other things that, have to happen. So,
Yeah. So what have we done with that time? Like, have I ignored the issue and the offense? And okay, I forgave you. And here's the problem. I now have to trust you, even though, because love always trusts, I'm commanded. Well, what does that mean? No, it means I believe in you. I believe that within you is this awesome Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I believe that that's there. And so I'm going to interact with that, meaning I'm going to hope for the best here. And because I know that's in you, I'm going to be patient while time happens and evidence ensues with something that I can believe is trustworthy. So you need to show up, let's say this is between you and I. And, I'll make it, I've damaged trust because I don't feel good talking about you damaging trust because you're so nice. I love you. So that just felt awkward. So I didn't want to put that on you. But let's say I break trust with you. I do something really stupid, underhanded, bad, whatever. I sin against you. You decide, and I'll love you for this. You confront me about that and say, hey, Nina, that thing you did stunk. It made me feel this way. Then I'm going to, let's say I have my stuff together here and I behave in a trustworthy way. And I say, you know what, you're right. And that's showing up trustworthy, by the way. You're right. I hurt you. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. Will you forgive me? And in an ideal situation, you might go, yeah, I definitely am going to forgive you. Okay, now you got to trust me, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that you believe the best about me. You believe in me, you put faith in me, you're going to give me another chance probably, right? Love always trusts, meaning you're going to create opportunity for us to interact again. Right. And I can choose to show up in a way that's worthy of that trust.
Right.
Or I can show up in a way that's terrible again. And what happens then? Well, as a mature adult, you have a responsibility of saying, hey, Nina, you did it again. You screwed up, girl. Like, what's going on here? I'm trusting you with this, and you keep damaging you keep bringing my car back with not that you live in a different city, but if I was borrowing your car and we were roommates, right? And I'm bringing it back empty, and gas is like $5 a gallon right now. It's nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm behaving terribly and I keep doing it. Then you're going to be free to say to me, I love you, but you're not borrowing my car again. That doesn't mean you don't trust me. What that means is you trust what's in me, the potential that's in me. You're still going to be my friend. You're still going to talk to me. You're still going to be respectful. But can I borrow your car? No, because I'm not trustworthy in that space with you. So you're going to say, no, well, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to? Yeah, that's really hard. I'll have empathy for you, Nina. And that's a mess you've got yourself into. And I really would love to help you with, transportation, but you need to show up differently. So when you give me $100, because I've had to fill up my gas tank twice now, when you pay me for that, then we can have a different conversation. But see, you're holding me to a standard. You're calling out the best. You're iron sharpening iron in that space. And you're not letting me dump all over you. And you're not letting me take advantage of you. You are showing up as somebody worthy of respect, worthy of trust yourself, which, when we have boundaries with people, when we call them to a higher standard of being, they then trust us more because they know who we are.
Yeah.
Our yes is yes. Our no is no. I sinned against you. I did something terrible. The first time you were willing to let me off the hook, you didn't even want your gas money. Second time it's, oh no, we're done here. And I love you. And you can make it up to me by giving me $100 because I had to go do that. And then I'll think about it. And then we'll see what happens. But it doesn't mean that you think I'm horrible.
Yeah. And it also doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is over.
Right.
It means that this is where we can operate in a healthy way and until behavior changes.
Yeah.
this is where we will reside. And I think that's where people get tripped up. Well, they either don't want to deal with the person anymore because they don't trust them, or like you said, they just take complete advantage or allow themselves to get taken advantage of. And there's a medium, there's a happy medium in there.
Yeah, I like to call that the happy, healthy, holy middle. No extremism on either side, right? Well, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm going to let you walk all over me all the time. No, that's not good for anybody at all, So it's this place of respecting ourselves, respecting the relationship, respecting the other person enough to call them to a higher standard of being. You want to borrow my car again, pay for my gas for the last 2 times, and then we'll talk about that. Well, that's not right. I can't do that. Yeah, I know that's hard. And you're right. I am asking a lot, and I'm not going to be a butthead to you about it. Sorry for the language, but
yeah. And this is consequence is what I'm hearing. This is just, like when you're raising your kids and you're teaching them responsibilities and how you give them boundaries. That is how they become trustworthy. So if you come in at curfew consistently, then you can continue to go out.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. So it's not punishment. It's just you're building character.
There's an outcome. Always sowing and reaping is real. And we're either, we're going to reap what we've sown. If we've reaped and planted good seed and been, amazing and consistent and reliable and told the truth and all those things and been affirming and, focused on what's right, encouraged other people, if we're putting great stuff in the relationship, when we mess up, it's easier to give grace in that space. And we've already made it super easy for the other person to see the best in us. But we're still called, love is still called to look for, see the best, believe in. And when that's not there, you have to take action on it. You just do, because otherwise, and I had a conversation with somebody this morning, as a matter of fact, around this. Her husband had hit her. And she said, well, I'm supposed to forgive and give grace, right? And I said, and there are outcomes to his behavior. You're endorsing harshness. He's not living with you in an understanding way. That's about as harsh as you can be. He's not supposed to be harsh with you. Hitting you is out of line. It's crossing a line. And she's like, well, but I'm supposed to give grace. I said, you give grace by allowing him to talk to you again. I mean, you're going to choose to stay in the relationship, but if you can't have boundaries around this, what you're communicating is the way that you're treating me is fine. Please keep doing so. Yeah. And that doesn't work. You have to have the ability to say stop and no. And you have to, on the other side of that, you have to own it when you do it wrong. Right? When you mess up, when you mess up, you've got to own that and then move into that space. And the more you do that, the more your self-esteem will be built. And here's why. And self-esteem, identity, whatever word you want to use there. We know the Spirit convicts us. We know. So if we don't take action on that, if we're like, well, they didn't say anything, or, I don't really have to go deal with that. That is in us. And we know what the word says. The word says, go and get right with your brother or sister, whatever, go. Whether they have something against you or you have something against them, you're to go. And so when we don't do that, we're betraying our identity. We know that that's there. And so love always trusts. Can I trust myself? Can I believe in the Jesus in me, that doing the next right thing is going to make a difference in this relationship? Absolutely. And it gets easier and it costs you nothing. It might cost you a lot. It might be super hard the first couple of times you do it, but then it's just doing the next right thing and it costs you nothing. And it builds your identity so that you know who you are in the situations you're in. And you can tell the truth in a kind, respectful, honest way. And it's amazing the impact that you can have in your relationships when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, I think it reflects if we trust God, you know.
Oof.
I know, right? It's
Yeah, about that.
Where are we truly in our faith, you know, that this outcome, you know, is going to work for our good? Do we really trust his word when he says all things work together? Like, do we really trust that his arm is strong enough or long enough, you know, to correct us or, you know, steer us? And, you know, do we trust that he's in control? And do we trust that, you know, there's so many levels to this thing. And it's like, okay, you know, like when we get to the nitty gritty, you know, it's really, lack of faith in God, you know.
Oof. Boy, sis, you're telling it like it is today. That's
only because I've lived it. Only because I've walked through it, and it hurts. But I think that's what God is after. He's after, do you trust me? Do you trust me with your life? Do you trust me with your marriage? Do you trust me with your child? Do you trust me? You know? So yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. It's really good. And it's worth, you know, bottom line, it's worth saying yes to love in that space. Love always trusts. Well, who do we trust? Do we trust ourselves, the him in us? Can we not betray ourselves? Can we be trustworthy with us? Can we be trustworthy with other people? Can we trust the him in them and show up in that moment the way that is useful to the relationship, being in the now, right? And then, like you said just now, can we trust God? That's love always trusts. I'm just having this awareness that I have some work to do.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like just when you think you've gotten to a place where you're pretty good and God shows you, nope, you've got to level up again. And so, yeah.
That's legit, man. So I have a book recommendation today.
Okay.
It's not for everybody. It's stupid expensive. It's this one. Ooh, I hit myself in the face here. The Science of Trust. This is by Dr. John Gottman. Yeah, it's a textbook. It's like $50. It's stupid expensive. But if you're into this topic, this is one where you can learn. It's emotional attunement for couples. So when you're looking at how married people need to develop trust and what breaks trust, and then how, because trust takes time to reestablish.
Yes.
And most couples out there deal with broken trust. And so, you know, for those of our listeners that have been to the workshops, read the books, and paid the therapist, you know, that it's worth digging into. What are the trust issues that I have with myself, that I have with God, and I have with my partner, so that I can show up in a way that is more of the identity that I am. It's worth dealing with, and they can do that, you know, through coaching, therapy, whatever. But it's worth looking at, man, because if we don't grow in that space, especially in our ability to trust ourselves, to take care of ourselves with boundaries and asking for what we want, oh man, you know, and our self-talk, we can't do that for other people. We just can't.
Yeah. I love it. I'm going to check that book out, and I hope our listeners were able to get something out of today's podcast. We have, like Nina mentioned, more stuff on our website. Check us out at greaterimpact.org. Also, we've got some more episodes on our channel on YouTube. So yeah, check us out. Thanks for joining.